Wow, that run really got my heart beating and my blood flowing. My pulse is racing, and that tells me that my heart is working hard. Did you know that during exercise, your heart beats faster so that more oxygen can be delivered to your cells and tissues? Believe me, my cells could really use that oxygen right about now. The circulatory system in my body is working to keep my heart beating and blood flowing so that my legs have the energy they need to move fast. Let's take a look at how this amazing system helps to keep us on the move. What are the function and parts of the circulatory system? I like to think of the circulatory system as a big network of roadways in our bodies that allows blood to deliver oxygen and nutrients to all of our cells, tissues, muscles, and organs. The circulatory system also helps our blood carry away all of the carbon dioxide and other gases that our bodies produce. This system is made up of the heart, blood, and blood vessels. Each one plays an important role in keeping our bodies running smoothly. Let's review what we know so far. Question 1. What does our circulatory system carry to all parts of our bodies? A. CO2. B. Nutrients. C. Oxygen. D. B and C. The correct answer is D. The circulatory system carries nutrients and oxygen to all parts of our bodies. Here's question 2. What does the circulatory system help our blood carry away? A. Oxygen. B. Carbon dioxide. C. Hydrogen. D. Helium. If you answered B, you know that our circulatory system helps our blood carry away carbon dioxide. Question 3. Which of the following is part of the circulatory system? A. The heart. B. Blood vessels. C. Liver. D. A and B. The correct answer is D. The heart and blood vessels are part of the circulatory system. How does the journey of red blood cells through the body begin? But how exactly does blood use the roadways of the circulatory system to deliver oxygen and nutrients to our bodies? The journey starts with the part of our blood called red blood cells. These cells are made in our bones and are shaped like discs with dimples on each side. Think of red blood cells as tiny but mighty delivery vans that use the roadways of the circulatory system to do their jobs. Along their routes, they carry oxygen from the lungs and deliver it throughout the body. They also pick up and carry away carbon dioxide and other gases and deliver this waste back to our lungs, where it is released into the air when we exhale. Red blood cells can't do their jobs by themselves. These little delivery vans rely on the heart to give them the push they need to start their travels through the circulatory system. The heart is the power station for the system. In the human body, the heart is located slightly left of center in the chest. This incredible muscle is the size of your fist and has the awesome responsibility of pumping blood through your body. Did you know that your heart pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood each day? The heart's unique design helps it to accomplish this task. The heart is divided into a left and right side, and each side has 2 chambers. Remember that red blood cells have 2 jobs to do. They deliver oxygen to the body, and they carry away carbon dioxide and gas waste. The 2-sided design of the heart keeps the oxygen-rich blood from mixing with the blood containing carbon dioxide. This blood is called oxygen-poor blood. The top 2 chambers of the heart are called atria. They fill with blood that is returning from the body or with blood coming from the lungs. The bottom chambers are called ventricles. Their job is to pump out the blood to the body and the lungs. When the blood gets squeezed out of the ventricles, it needs to know which way to go. That's why each chamber also has valves that work as one-way doors to keep the blood flowing in the right direction. The two chambers and their valves work as a team. The atrium fills with blood, and the ventricles pump it out. This team is great at its job. Their teamwork creates the more than 100,000 heartbeats you experience each day. Let's take a look at what we've just learned. Here's question number 1. In what part of the body are red blood cells made? A, brain. B, lungs. C, skin. D, bones. The correct answer is D. Red blood cells are made in bones. Question 2. About how large is the human heart? A, the size of a fist. B, the size of a foot. C, the size of an ankle. D, the size of an elbow. If you answered A, you know that a human heart is the size of a fist. Let's try question 3. A human heart has how many chambers? A, 1. B, 2. C, 3. D, 4. The correct answer is D. The human heart has 4 chambers. How does the heart help blood circulate through the body? Since we know that our hearts have 2 sides, each with 2 chambers, let's look at how our red blood cells travel through the heart on their way to deliver oxygen or carry out carbon dioxide. When our red blood cells are carrying out the carbon dioxide they picked up along their route, they enter the right side of the heart. This oxygen-poor blood first enters the right atrium. It passes through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle and is pushed out through the pulmonary valve to the lungs so that we can exhale the carbon dioxide. It is the contraction or squeezing of our heart as it forces the blood through the ventricle that gives the blood the big push it needs to get through the pulmonary valve and out to the lungs. Once we have exhaled that carbon dioxide, our lungs are ready to fill again with oxygen. Our red blood cell delivery vans are ready and waiting to pick up and deliver that oxygen to body parts that need it. They follow the circulatory system roadway to the heart and enter the left atrium. Then they pass through the mitral valve to the left ventricle. Here, it waits for the heart to contract and give it the push it needs to go through the aortic valve into the body. Interestingly, our heartbeat is not the sound of our heart contracting or squeezing. It is the sound of the valves on both sides of the heart opening and closing. But don't be fooled, our hearts have a powerful squeeze. The contraction of blood through the heart and around the body takes only 60 seconds and is called circulation. Let's take a minute to review all that we have learned about our hearts. Here's question 1. What is the name of the valve on the right side of the heart that pushes blood toward the lungs? A, mitral. B, pulmonary. C, secondary. D, vessel. The correct answer is B. The pulmonary valve is on the right side and pushes blood to the lungs. Question 2. What makes the heartbeat sound we hear? A, ventricles squeezing blood. B, circulating blood. C, valves opening and closing. D, none of the above. If you answered C, you know that the sound of our heartbeats is the sound of heart valves opening and closing. Here's question 3. What do we call the contraction of blood through the heart and around the body? A, circulation. B, transportation. C, digestion. Or D, breathing. The correct answer is A. Circulation is the contraction of blood through the heart and around the body. How do blood vessels help blood circulate through the body? So far, we have learned about the red blood cell delivery vans and the heart pumping station of our circulatory system. But how do our red blood cells travel throughout the body? They use blood vessels, which are a system of tubes that make up the roadways of the circulatory system. Blood vessels have three main parts: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Arteries usually look red and carry the oxygen-rich blood from the lungs away from the heart and out to the rest of the body. Here's a trick. Remember this little saying: arteries start with A, they take blood away. Veins, on the other hand, usually look blue and return the oxygen-poor blood from the body back to the heart so that carbon dioxide can be pushed out of the lungs. Don't worry, I have a rhyme for this one too. Veins start with V, bring blood back to me. Arteries and veins are connected by the smallest of the body's blood vessels, called capillaries. Capillaries are so thin that oxygen and glucose, a simple sugar, can pass right through them and enter a cell. In the same way, carbon dioxide and other gases can pass through to be picked up and carried away by red blood cells. This network of arteries, veins, and capillaries in our bodies is huge. If an adult's blood vessels were laid out end to end, they would stretch out over 62,000 miles. Our red blood cells have had a lot of help in doing their jobs. Let's review what we know about how blood vessels help our circulatory system. Here's question 1. What do we call the tiny tubes that carry blood away from the heart? A. Valves. B. Arteries. C. Atria. D. Bones. The correct answer is B. Arteries are the tiny tubes that carry blood away from the heart. Question 2. What do we call the tiny tubes that return oxygen-poor blood back to the heart? A. Arteries. B. Chambers. C. Ventricles. D. Veins. If you answered D, you know that veins are the tiny tubes that bring blood back to the heart. Here's question 3. What do we call the smallest blood vessels in our bodies? A. Capillaries. B. Atoms. C. Tissues. D. Cells. The correct answer is A. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels. What role does blood play in the circulatory system? We have already learned that our tiny red blood cells do the important work of bringing oxygen to the body and carrying away carbon dioxide. We also know that they get help from the heart, which provides the mighty push that they need to begin their travels. Red blood cells get help from another source too, the blood in our bodies. Blood is a special fluid that provides the delivery system our red blood cells need to do their jobs. Red blood cells are just one part of our blood. Blood also contains plasma, platelets, and white blood cells. More than half of our blood is made up of plasma. Plasma is a pale yellow liquid that carries all of the blood's parts. Platelets are little sticky pieces of blood cells that float in our blood until a blood vessel is injured and bleeding starts. They have the important job of clotting or clumping so that we don't bleed too much after a cut or scrape. So, our blood delivers oxygen, carries away carbon dioxide, and stops us from bleeding too much. Amazingly, it helps us to stay healthy too. White blood cells are the body's defenders. They fight infections by wrapping themselves around harmful bacteria and germs that find their way into our bodies. White blood cells come in different shapes and sizes, and our bodies make more of them when we have an infection. Normally, there are between 7,000 and 25,000 white blood cells in a single drop of human blood. This number could go as high as 50,000 white blood cells per drop in a person who is very sick. Blood also carries heat around our bodies and keeps our active brains from overheating. Cells that make up our blood are constantly being made by our bones. Isn't it amazing what our blood can do? Let's take a minute to review what we have learned about our blood. Question 1. What do we call the pale yellow liquid that carries all of the blood's parts? A. Mitochondria. B. Plasma. C. Fluid. D. Bacteria. The correct answer is B. Plasma carries all of the blood's parts. Here's question 2. What is the job of platelets? A. Transport oxygen. B. Get rid of carbon dioxide. C. Help blood clot. D. Help cells grow. If you answered C, you know that platelets help blood clot. Question 3. What is the job of our white blood cells? A. Produce oxygen. B. Grow skin cells. C. Transport nutrients. D. Defend against infection. The correct answer is D. White blood cells defend against infection.
After taking a close look at our circulatory system, we can all appreciate how hard our hearts, blood vessels, and blood are working to keep us healthy. Since the heart is a muscle, we have to give it a workout to keep it going strong.
Thinking question. What can you do to keep your circulatory system healthy?